Right, hi folks. It's time to start a project that I've been, to continue a project that I've been ignoring for quite some time, 2 years I think. I bought this project 2 years ago. I started, maybe 2.5. I started work on it. I'll show you what I've done so far. So it's my 2 litre Mark II Vitesse convertible. I started work on it, as I say, about 2 years ago or so. I repaired the door shut on this side. I primed the door, all round the door shut, the back wing, the back end's all been primed, boot lid's in primer, back wings, it's in 2-pack primer, so it's absolutely fine sitting here. And over in the corner there, I've got the side sills and the rear valance and all the rest of it that's all been primed. So that lot's all done. Now what I've got to do, I've reskinned the door. I managed to buy a second-hand, a brand new old stock door skin as part of a load of other bits that I bought. I've done the skinning job on the door. The actual door itself is perfect, no rot around the bottom or anything. The doorstep on this side was a lot better. It was just a bit of rust along this edge here. I've made a panel just to go in there, and I've just got to give it a final trim down this end and then weld this panel. It's cut, ready to go in. Weld that in and clean this up. That'll be ready for paint. This door's all rubbed down, ready for paint. I've just got to do a little bit of filler work. There was, being an old stock panel, it had a bit of a dent here. I've pushed most of it out. And now, if I get a bit of angle, there's just literally the slightest little dent you can, I think, just there. I don't know if you can see, there's a little air gap there. It's next to nothing, but I'm just going to skim a little bit of filler. And again, there's a tiny little gap just there. So I'm just going to skim a bit of filler over that. I've pushed most of the dent out. I just can't get that last little bit, so I'll just put a bit of filler over it. There's a couple of dents in the skin where it had been laying around for 50 years. So other than that, it's good skin. I put it in bare metal probably a year, 18 months ago, and it hasn't rusted up or anything. So I'll give it another good rub down before I prime it. So the job for today is get the door off and fill it, flat it down, and possibly get it in primer, but I might do that. There's another dent up there. Just noticed a little tiny one. Yeah, a little one there. That's it. So once that's done, I'll get the back wing, the door shut, everything all rubbed down, get that in primer. This is in really, really good condition, this Vitesse. It's got hardly any rot in it at all. The worst bits were the doors and the door shuts. The other door shut was a lot worse. I think in one of the earlier videos, I put a complete new skin upper, 2 skins on that. I put the lower and the upper skin on that one and then put it in primer. So yeah, so now get the door prepped and then get some primer on it. I'm going to go over it with the DA before I do anything. Quite coarse grit, it's 80 grade grit. I'm going to give it a good scurf down so the filler sticks to it okay. The primer I use is a high build and it will go over 80 grade grit without showing the scratches, but I'll do it with 80 and then I'll fill it, and then after that I'll go over it with a slightly finer grit. Just going to check. Where did I put my Bit of alley a second ago. Oh, there it is. Right, I'm just going to check along here, make sure this is flat. Yeah, I thought I could see a little bit of a dip there, just a tiny one. This is the trouble when you get a... Yeah, I'm going to have to do a bit of filler up there as well. It's only going to be 1/2 mil thick, but just to get it absolutely right. Right, so I know I've got a bit of a dip up here. So I'm starting up here, just laying a bit on. There's a little dip here as well. Not too bothered about the hole in this panel, you can always drill it out afterwards. I just want to make sure I get rid of that dip that I've got. I know there's a little bit of a dip here. There's a dent here. This is also where the slight dip in the panel is. Now you're always going to have to fill more than once. Do your first one quite heavy and then you can always fill it again if you need to. I can feel the dip in that when I'm going over it. So just keep if you get a bit like that where you get a hole in it, or you get an edge like that, then you know you've not gone high enough. A little dip there I can see, and a little one there. When you get old panels, they've always got dents in them. Being in storage for 50 years, probably moved about 20 different workshops and whatever, and it's about to get a bit damaged. There's a dip there, little dip in it there, and there's another little dip there. I can see one there. They're only the slightest little bits, but where you've got the paint still there, it shows you that there's a dip. There's a little one there, little tiny one, little one there, little one there, and a little one. It's just the tiniest wee one. Oh, and there's one there as well, I can see. Teeny one there. The more you get out before you prime it, the less you have to mess about afterwards. Little teeny one there, and there. And that, I think, is most of them. They're all little, tiny, shallow dips. But if you get them now, it'll save a load of work after you've primed it, trying to rectify it. Here we go. In America, they seem to skim every single panel with filler. I've never seen people slap so much filler on cars. They seem to like skim everything. and then just sand it back, which seems a bit weird, but it does give you a perfectly flat surface if you do that. But you use a whole tub of filler just doing one door. Right, so that's all the filler in. It looks like quite a lot, but a lot of these little bits were just little tiny marks. But I put a load of filler in it. It's cold and it's damp, so it's going to take a while to go off. So time to go and make a bit of lunch, and then when I come back, I'll sand it down. Right, it's about half an hour later. My filler's gone off. Now, 3 ways of sanding it down. One is to use a block of wood and a sheet of sandpaper. The longer a bed you've got, the smoother you're going to get it, the flatter it's going to be. So one of those little square sanding blocks with a bit of paper on it, you're not going to get it that flat. These don't cost too much, and they've got Velcro on them, so you need Velcro sandpaper to go with them, and you can basically just hold on to them and do that. If you have got a compressor, you need one of these, which is a bed sander. This has got 80 grit on it. It goes on the airline and it does the whole job really quick. So I'm giving it a bit of a sand off. What you've got to learn now from this is, if your metal's getting highly polished, but you've still got bits in the filler, then your filler's not thick enough. If you've got, like there, I've got an edge, but this bit's polished, you need more filler over that. Same here, I've got quite an edge, but the metal's been polished by the sander, so you need more filler over it. So using a flatbed, it does tell you where the bits are. Obviously there, that filler's too low, and there's a lump there, but there isn't there. There isn't there, but there's a lump there. So that needs more filler over it. And the same here, you've got a lump there on your filler, and you've got a nice smooth edge there and round there, but there's a lump, which means there's a dent there, so you need more filler over that. So next job, mix up more filler, go over it again. Well, not sure about this, but I've decided to do what all the American body shops do in their videos, and I've absolutely smothered it in filler. It doesn't really need it, but I got a bit carried away. So we'll see what happens when I flat it down, which is gonna not be for an hour or so, because it's got to dry, and as it's cold and damp today, it's not drying that quickly. But we'll see what happens. Give it a good sand with the bed sander once it's dry and see what it looks like. The filler's taking a bit of time to go off because it's pretty cold today. So I'm going to leave it and get on with it on the next day, which is probably not going to be till Monday now. But it's all there. It'll have plenty of time to dry off, and it'll be easier to sand once it's had a day or two to dry off. So that's it for today. Not got that far, but at least I got a bit done. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye. Right, didn't get back yesterday to do this, but I've just come back starting on it. When you're sanding, don't just sand backwards and forwards. Do it diagonally across the panel. That way you get a much flatter surface. Do it that way. So I'm not going to film all of this because it's going to take me half an hour to sand this down. So we'll have a look at the finished result in a minute. Right, one problem I've discovered is trying to sand it is this skin's a bit floppy. And the reason is, good reason why you shouldn't leave jobs for a year after you've started them. The brace isn't in. Now this goes in behind the outer skin and holds it so it doesn't wobble. Basically, it goes in the door. Now it locates inside the lip on the outer skin, and then it goes up and screws in the bottom of the door here, and it puts a little bit of pressure on the outer skin so that it stops it wobbling. And that's it, screwed in with 2 new screws. So now that pushes up against the outer skin and holds it firm so it won't wobble when I'm trying to sand it, which will make it a lot easier to get it flat. Well, that's it. After quite a bit of sanding and filling, it's lovely. Got a straight edge on it. It's absolutely flat everywhere. So really happy with it. Tomorrow, just give it a quick flat off again with the DA, and then I'll get some primer on it. But that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. Cheers.